All right, ladies and gentlemen, so here we are on our next section of keyboarding. Now, this is filled with everybody's favorite word, vocabulary, right? And vocabulary is always important because we're still developing new words. I don't expect elementary schools to have the same vocabulary as high schoolers, and I don't expect high schoolers to have the same vocabulary as adults. So we got to build up our vocabulary, right? So I don't often like to use the word vocabulary. I like to use the word terms a lot of times. So if you hear me and you see the word terms, that just means, well, vocabulary, right? So there's a couple things that are important to cover here. I'm not going to do each and every single one of these because, quite frankly, yeah, we got, only limited time, right? And you can read as much as the other ones, right? So I'm going to pick and choose a couple of these, all right? So first thing I want to choose is the function keys, okay, the F keys. Now there's a confusion out there because now with modern laptops and keyboards, there's actually a function key as opposed to the function keys. All right, there's a difference. So in early days of computing, okay, in the 1980s and so on and so forth, to get software and programs to do certain things, okay, before we were really using a mouse, you would use the keys at the top of the keyboard running from F1 to F12 to perform certain functions in the computer software itself, right? Those were the function keys. Then as technology and time progressed, graphic user interface progressed, those became more obsolete. But they are still included because they are still used by a lot of the software that's out there, right? So these do certain commands. Example, right now, if you were to tap your F11 key on your keyboard, okay, you would see that the screen or the browser that you're in would go full screen. You press the F11 key again, not so full screen, right? F1 key is frequently used for bringing up a help menu, okay? Very helpful for figuring out how to do things, okay? So they're used for various things, and each software program is different, okay? The shift key, I do want to talk about that. Tab is important, but the shift key, okay, makes capital letters and certain symbols appear. It's important to use the shift key because even in middle school, I see students press the caps lock key to make a capital letter, press the letter, and then press the caps lock key. That is inefficient when you can just simply press and hold the shift key and then tap the other key itself, all right? And then, of course, sometimes the shift key is used in combination with the control and alternate keys. And yes, it says they do the same thing, right? Executes commands with other keys, all right? But there is a difference between, say, like Control F and Alt F. All right, you'll see Control C for copy, right? Control V, right? But maybe Alt F brings up the file menu, okay? Or Alt V brings up the view, okay? So they perform different things, although they both kind of say they execute certain commands. It depends on how the software is programmed. All right, word wrap. Even in middle school, I still see this. All right, here's what word wrap does. Notice what it says here. The text moves automatically to the next line when the next line is full, assuming that there are perimeters for that line to stop, okay? So when you're typing on a word processor and going along, right, there is no reason to hit the Enter key, right, at the end of a line. Why is that? Well, that's because word wrap does it for us, okay? But inevitably, in every class or so, I see students type along, they come to the end of a line, enter, enter, enter. There's no reason for that, all right, because word wrap works for us, all right? All right, next slide or section here, if I can get to move forward. Let's see, move forward. There it goes. All right. All right, the delete key, delete, all right? Delete and backspace kind of do the same thing, all right? But delete removes the character to the right of the insertion point. The insertion point is the one going blink, blink, blink. I'm waiting for text. Please put text in me, right? And the backspace removes the character to the left of the insertion point, right? This gets especially confusing because on Mac computers, where ours on an IBM compatible computer, or the one you're using in my classroom right now, if you're in my classroom, right? The one that says backspace says delete on a Mac, but it does the same thing as a backspace. What? Yeah, confusing, isn't it? Macs, their own little world, all right? All right, so you got the arrow keys. Those are obvious. Escape key. I liked Finding Nemo. Anyway, the escape key closes a dialog box, so if you're in a panic mode, Mr. C, I can't exit out, just press the escape key. Okay, very good. Posture. Ah, yes, posture. If you are in my class right now, right, or you were in class when this lesson happened, right, you probably got to saw a really cool demonstration about posture, right? Believe it or not, there are negative things that can happen over long term, okay, by using incorrect posture, okay? So, although you may not feel the effects now when you're a young teen or preteen, those things might fall to the bad side of health things as you move forward. Negative health side effects from improper posture, right? And everything from slouching to headaches to tension, so on and so forth, okay? But if you were in my class, in the classroom, here on campus, you probably heard a really cool story about that, all right? The service and special keys, that's nothing more than the space bar, the tab key, the caps lock key, so on and so forth, okay? You can also include the print screen key. If you look above your arrows, okay, those are also service keys and such, all right? If you're in full screen mode and you need to get something into Windows, right, and you still want to remain in full screen mode, you can press the Windows key, right? Like right now I'm in my presentation. If I press the Windows key, look what it does. It brings up my little Windows icon, and I could choose another program and jump straight to it. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm in the middle of a presentation and I want this back in full screen, okay? And then, of course, let's see what else is on here. Keyboarding terms, we got the function key, not to be confused with the F keys at the top. All right, example. On my laptop, all right, I have the FN or function key in blue. Right underneath the print screen, I have a blue little antenna with some waves coming off of it. That tells me that's the Wi-Fi. If I were to turn and press my function key and hit the print screen key with a little antenna on it, it would turn me or my computer on into airplane mode. In other words, it would shut off the Wi-Fi, right? Right next to it, I have this little circle with some dots around it, okay? That tells me that's the screen brightness, so I can increase the brightness and decrease the brightness, right? So those are function keys, okay? So that the function key allows me to perform certain functions on the computer itself, okay? The home row. This is really, really important to know when you are developing typing skills and trying to get into what they call touch typing, okay? All right, so the home row, if you look at your keys, right, are the A, S, D, F for the left hand and the J, K, L semicolon for the right hand. Most keyboards on a laptop or traditional keyboard, you will see that the F and the F and the J key have little ridges on them, right? Those little ridges, little bumps tell you that, hey, that's the F and the J key. So just by feeling that with your fingers, you could say, oh, I'm on the home row, right? And then you could start working on coming back to the home row after every keystroke, okay? That is what really helps develop those touch typing skills, is always coming back to the home row after each individual keystroke. All right, of course, there's the backspace, and then touch type, the ability to type without looking at the keyboard. All right, pretty simple there. And a few more to go. Caps lock, we talked about that with the shift key. I do want to talk about gross words per minute. Gross being total, okay? Not when somebody sneezes and they have some stuff hanging out. That's gross, right? No, total words per minute, all right? The number of standard words keyed in 1 minute. Okay, that's how fast you could do something. If you could do it fast on a keyboard, that means you're probably pretty efficient at it, right? And of course, we all know what the space bar and the enter return does. Causes the insertion point move to the next margin and down to the next line. All right, for starting a new paragraph, if you're writing a document, or to confirm something, information in a box, so on and so forth. All right, now, this means that we have come to the end of this section of the presentation. All right. The assignment associated with this is, again, on Google Classroom. It's a Google Slides. And all you're going to do is match up the terms and the definitions with, well, the words. Okay, so you're just going to use your text tool, write in the word, okay, next to the matching definition. All right. Again, if you're in class, we'll go over these together. If you are not in class, and you just make sure that you are using this document as a reference, okay? And then you might have to infer some things, because I don't give you all the answers in this presentation, okay? But if you go back and listen, I think you'll find a lot of the answers. So that brings me to the end of this presentation, all right? And yeah, we'll move forward. And let's see, what is our next unit on? If we are following this schedule and we are staying on course and on track with this schedule, I believe Our next unit is going to be on business management and entrepreneurship. So, yeah, that's some fun stuff to talk about. All right, until next time.